Unused time, Mr. Burton.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The last action that we took in this body today was a resolution honoring the Constitution, which we celebrate tomorrow. Since we are not in session tomorrow, I wish to talk for a moment about that inspired document this evening. It's difficult to do that because as we talk about the Constitution, I'm looking straight at the relief of George Mason, who is one of those unique characters in American history. One of three men who spent the entire time at the Constitutional Convention and then refused to sign the document. When I was teaching school, I always insisted my students had to tell me why Mason refused to sign it, which is, of course, because it did not have a Bill of Rights. But I was always hoping, and hoping in vain, that some bright student would ask the better question, which is not why did Mason not sign, but why did all the other people who were there at the founding fathers at the convention not go along with Mason for a Bill of Rights? It was certainly not because they were opposed to civil liberties, but the rest of the founding fathers realized that they could accomplish the same goal by the structure of government, by dividing power between the three branches of government horizontally, so no branch had too much power. But equally important, by dividing power vertically, federal and the state level, so no level of government had too much power. You could accomplish the same goal of protection of individual freedoms. The issue at the Constitutional Convention was that of power. As the states met to then ratify this document, the issue of power was still there. We, of course, know that two states, North Carolina and Rhode Island, did not ratify the document until after the country was established. But 5 states, Virginia, Massachusetts, New York, Maryland, and South Carolina, sent specific amendments that should be added to the document. Foremost in each of those states' amendments was the concept of sovereignty, or the ability of states to make decisions. Their goal and their concepts were incorporated in the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, which put in written form the unnamed structure that the founding fathers had established in the Constitution. As one of our justices on the Supreme Court said, the Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. It divides power among sovereigns, among branches of government, precisely so we may resist the temptation to concentrate power in one location as the expedient solution to the crisis of the day. For a century and a half, the nation basically honored that concept. In the last half-century, though, we have stretched the idea significantly. Starting in the progressive era at the early 1900s, it was even President Wilson who called this concept of separation of powers political witchcraft. He said that separating powers into hidden corners prevented us from consolidating powers to be used. In the early 1900s, the politicians and the philosophers who believed this did not do so because they misunderstood the Constitution, but because they understood it and did not like the fact that it prevented them from doing what they said were marvelous things. We today still have this issue of power before us. For the last couple of years, we have debated on this floor the idea whether it is better to consolidate power in Washington with the ultimate goal of uniformity, or to hold fast to the idea that states should be allowed to have alternative ideas and that our ultimate goal should be creativity. The 10th Amendment is not just about smaller government, it's about more effective government, what works best for people, and the idea that not all programs have to be evolved from Washington. And they also have their idea, because the 10th Amendment talks about powers for states and individuals, is that, in a concept that many of us on this floor can never get, there are some problems that don't need a solution by government at all. The issue is creativity, efficiency, and justice. The issue is, can those best be resolved? We still have this question of power that we are dealing with today, and I would hope that we would reject the revisionist idea and instead go along and support the founding fathers. For both the constitutional structure and the 10th Amendment meant that our founding fathers were inspired to get it right. Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. Ms. Cap.